The grand piano shimmered under the golden light of the ballroom chandelier, every key gleaming like a secret waiting to be told. Laughter echoed, glasses clinked, and the hum of expensive perfume filled the air. Men in black tuxedos and women in diamond necklaces drifted across the marble floor, polished, perfect, untouchable, and in the middle of it all stood a little girl, barefoot, holding an old violin. Its wood was cracked at the edges, the strings slightly frayed. She looked wildly out of place, her small frame dwarfed by the room's grandeur. Her name was Lily Carter, 9 years old, a child who had known hunger, loneliness, and the cold ache of being forgotten. Across the room stood Ethan Monroe, a billionaire known as much for his ruthless business deals as for his empty eyes. The tabloids called him the Ice King, brilliant, untouchable, heartless. His mansion was filled with art, gold, and silence. No family, no warmth, no laughter, just endless echoes of success. That night, Ethan had hosted another charity gala, his annual event for helping orphanages, though everyone knew it was more about polishing his public image than helping children. The air buzzed with fake smiles and shallow compliments. When the orphanage director pushed Lily forward toward him, the crowd turned curiously. "Mr. Monroe," the woman said with a nervous chuckle, "this little one insists on playing something for you. She says she'll earn a home if she can make you feel something." Ethan raised an eyebrow, amused. "Is that so?" Lily nodded shyly, gripping her violin. "They said you're the richest man here. I thought maybe if I play, you'll like it enough to adopt me." The room went dead silent. Someone stifled a laugh. Ethan let out a short, cold chuckle. "You want to bargain for a family?" he asked, voice smooth but mocking. "All right, sweetheart. If you can move me with that toy of yours." He leaned closer, his smile sharp. "I'll adopt you." A few guests gasped. Others whispered. But Lily didn't flinch. She lifted her violin, took a deep breath, and began to play at first. The notes were shaky, like a wounded bird trying to fly. But then, her bow steadied, her fingers danced, and the melody grew into something alive. It wasn't just music. It was emotion, raw and aching, a story of a child who missed her mother, of nights spent crying into a pillow, of hope that refused to die. Every person in the room fell silent. The laughter vanished, the whispers stopped. Even Ethan froze. His smirk disappeared as something inside him stirred, a feeling he hadn't allowed himself in years. The music rose and broke like waves, washing over the walls, breaking through the cold armor he'd spent a lifetime building. When she finished, there was silence again. Then, applause. Thunderous applause. But Ethan didn't clap. He just sat there, eyes glistening faintly, fingers gripping his glass. "Who taught you to play like that?" he finally asked. "My mom," Lily said softly. "Before she died. She said music could heal hearts, even the ones that forgot how to feel." Ethan's jaw tightened. Something flickered in his expression, but he quickly masked it. "The deal was to impress me, not heal me," he said flatly, standing up. "Good job, kid. You've got guts." He turned and walked away. The crowd murmured. The little girl just stood there, violin in hand, trying not to cry. That night, Ethan lay awake in his enormous, silent mansion. But the silence felt heavier than usual, because her song wouldn't leave him. It played again and again in his head, every note pressing against memories he'd buried. He saw flashes, his late wife smiling, their little boy running across the yard, the sound of laughter that used to fill this house before the accident. His son had loved music, too. Ethan had promised himself he'd never feel that kind of pain again. So he'd buried his heart under success and money, but now, a little girl's song had dug it up. By morning, Ethan couldn't stand it anymore. He drove across town, through the fog, until he reached the old brick building of the foster home. It looked worse up close, peeling paint, rusted gates, broken windows. Children played outside with tattered toys, their laughter thin and tired, and there she was, Lily, sitting on the steps, playing her violin softly. Her music was quieter this time, gentler, like a whisper only she could hear. Ethan stepped out of the car and walked toward her. She looked up, surprised. "You came back," she said. He nodded. I wanted to hear that song again. She smiled faintly. Nobody ever wants to hear it twice. I do, he said simply. So she played again. This time, he listened not as a billionaire, but as a broken man remembering what it felt like to be human. When she finished, he crouched beside her. Lily, he said quietly, how would you feel about coming home with me? Her eyes widened. You mean it? He nodded. I have more rooms than I can count. But none of them have laughter. Maybe you could change that. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, I'd like that. Weeks passed. Ethan's mansion began to change, not from renovations or decor, but from something far rarer. Music filled the hallways every morning as Lily practiced in the garden. Staff who once spoke in hushed tones now laughed with her, and Ethan, he smiled again that he began spending time with her, helping with homework, attending her school recitals, even cooking pancakes together on Sundays. Something soft returned to him. Something he'd thought was gone forever, but not everyone believed in change. News reporters started digging. Billionaire adopts orphan girl for publicity, the headlines screamed. Paparazzi hounded their home, cameras flashing every time Lily went to school. She didn't understand why people said such cruel things. One evening, after overhearing a TV anchor sneer that she was just a charity trophy, Lily ran upstairs, packed her violin, and wrote a note, Thank you for everything, Mr. Monroe. But I don't want to be a part of your image. I wanted to be part of your heart. When Ethan found the note, it felt like the air was ripped from his chest. He searched the city all night, through train stations, parks, and shelters, until, at dawn, he found her sitting in the rain at a quiet cemetery, hugging her violin case that he approached slowly, soaked and breathless. Lily, she turned, her small face streaked with tears. Why did you take me in? She asked. Was it really just to look good? Ethan shook his head, his voice breaking. I took you in because your music, it woke me up. I forgot what love felt like. You reminded me. You're not my image, Lily. You're my daughter. Her tears fell harder. Then why didn't you say that before? Because, he whispered, kneeling beside her, I didn't know how to say something I've never said before. He reached for her trembling hand. I love you. She dropped her violin and threw her arms around him. He held her tight, rain washing away years of pain from them both. For the first time in forever, Ethan felt whole. Years later, the city's grand concert hall was packed. The lights dimmed. On stage stood Lily Monroe, her name shining on the banner above. Dressed in a flowing white gown, she lifted her violin and began to play, the same melody that once filled a lonely ballroom. In the front row sat Ethan, older now, silver streaks in his hair, eyes shining with pride. When the final note lingered in the air, the crowd erupted in applause, but Lily only looked at him. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the world was silent again. She smiled, the same warm, grateful smile from years ago. And Ethan whispered under his breath, You healed me, my little miracle. The melody swelled once more, rising toward the heavens like a prayer answered at last, and the story of the little orphan who melted a millionaire's heart became more than just music. It became proof that no amount of money could ever buy what love could create, because sometimes, the smallest hands play the loudest song.